And we are live. How about a cold one? And by cold one, I mean a polar seltzer. Happy Friday. Happy almost Memorial Day weekend. We're here. It's all happening. I'm dressed up. I'm going on TV later. MSNBC, 4 o'clock if you're watching. Actually, probably 4:40 if you're watching. My hair looking good to the extent there's any hair left. Okay. Thank you for being here. Reminder to subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Reminder to check out my politics Substack newsletter if you haven't. That is at chriscillizza.substack.com, or just type my name into it's Cillizza. Type it into Google, should pop up. So welcome. Thank you for coming on Memorial Day weekend. So we may do a little bit of a shorter show today because I know a lot of people are gone for Memorial Day weekend or whatever. But let me ask you the first and most important question. Can you hear me? Oh, it sounds like I can. Yes. Sam says sound is working. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's jump in. Remember, I will answer as many questions as I can as long as we have questions. If that's 15 minutes, I'm happy to do 15 minutes. If it's 45 minutes, I'm happy to do 45 minutes. Could even go an hour if we have enough questions. I hope you guys like me doing this. It's fun for me. It's a good way for me to end mostly my week. I'm pretty much done with my week at this point, other than doing TV stuff. So yeah, thank you for your support and spread the word. All right, Sam 2. Not Sam 1, Sam 2. Happy Friday, Chris. I watched you on Scripps News. Do you get paid to be a contributor there? And do you ever get nervous when you're on TV again? I do not get paid to be a contributor there. Most of the TV I'm doing these days is just to do it. I was under contract with CNN until mid-April, so I really couldn't do TV on any other network until then. Well, I could, but CNN would stop paying me. So I wanted the CNN to keep paying me. So now I am free to do whatever I want. So I'm slowly but surely kind of reemerging in that world. Do I get nervous? Sure, a little bit. Someone told me a long time ago that being a little nervous before you do something like that is actually good because it gets the adrenaline flowing, makes you a little more lively, kind of more energetic, your mind is a little more on point. So it's actually a good thing. So I always remind myself of that before I do it. But yeah, sure. Oh, Chris, Higgs 115. Hi, Chris. As someone with Italian heritage, I was wondering if you might also have Italian ancestors. I do. I'm like, even though my last name, my dad was Italian, but even though my last name is obviously Italian, Cillizza, pronounced in Italy, I'm actually more Irish than I am Italian. Interestingly enough, my wife has an Italian last name as well. I mean, she's taken my name, but had an Italian last name as well. So we got some Italian in there. Yeah. Sean D. Who do you trust more, Alan Lichtman's indicators for the election or the current polls? So for people who don't know, Alan Lichtman is a really interesting guy. He's a professor of political science at American University, I think. I did an interview with him on my Substack newsletter. I also made a video about him. So he has these 13 keys to an election that he says has accurately predicted the winner in 9 of the last 10 elections. The one he missed was the 2000 election where Gore won the popular vote, but Bush won the Electoral College. So these keys have nothing to do with polling. They're very much like, did the incumbent have a serious primary challenge? Did the incumbent have a foreign policy crisis during his time in office? Those kind of things, like really big picture. And he thinks, at least at this point, that Biden is more likely than not to win again, even though he says he's not going to make a final prediction until August. So I don't know that I believe one over the other, like Lichtman's keys versus polling. My basic view on polling is like, it says it's close, right? Trump has a marginal edge in swing states. I think it's going to be close overall. I think Biden has some problems he has to overcome, but are overcomeable. So, I think it's always dangerous to predict like, oh yeah, it's a deadlock that fill in the blank is going to win on May 24th when the election is 134 days, I think, away, right? Things change. I think Trump has a slight lead right now. Lichtman's model says Biden's going to win. Okay. I mean, like I'm open to any and all ideas on that front. Like, I don't have a monopoly on what's right. I try to look at the data. I try to look at what I know. I try to figure all that stuff out. But like, I'm always open to other indicators, other prognostications, other stuff that disagrees with me. A reminder, people, keep keep sending questions in. I will answer as many as I can. Chris Murphy 15. Hi, Chris. You said last week you may want to move to Northern California at some point. Are you thinking like the Bay Area or more like Mount Shasta Redding area? I'm thinking north of San Francisco. There's a place called Stinson Beach in Mill Valley, right in there. That is my sweet spot. I've been there. I posted pictures from my trip there last year on my Substack. My God, was it beautiful. And yeah, I could do that. As Saliza fan, great name for a handle. As someone who also moved out of DC, I did so because it was such a toxic mentality for my kids. People trying to see how you can help them move up before being friends. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. It is, I think some of this is always transactional. But yes, there's no question that it's kind of like what can you do for me kind of thing as it relates to some friendships. The people I'm the closest to, one is a friend from college who lives here, who's not in politics. One is a guy who's the executive producer of This Week on ABC and is in politics, and I met through politics. And one is a tech guy whose kids go to my kid's school. So I have kind of a mix of all three of those. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that are transactional. There's no question about that. Yeah. Let's see. Tara Reid, what do you think not that Tara Reid, what do you think the funniest moment in U.S. politics was over the last 10 years? I love when Ben Carson and Trump created a traffic jam at a GOP primary debate for the 2016 cycle during the intros. Yes, I do remember that. I don't know if this was in the last 10 years, but Gary Bauer fell off the stage in Iowa flipping pancakes. That might have been more than 10 years ago, but that was hilarious. Ted Cruz and Carly. Remember, people forget this. In the 2016 campaign, Ted Cruz was like trying to figure out a way to beat Trump. And he announced that Carly Fiorina would be his VP pick if he was the nominee. And in that announcement, they did this weird thing where they tried to like shake hands, but he like grabbed half of her hand. And it was so awkward. So that's up there. I don't know. What else? That's up there too. Politics nerd, what's your favorite non-romantic memory of your life so far? Great question. I went to a camp in Colorado with my in-laws, all of my in-laws. My wife has 3 brothers and sisters, all their family, all our kids in Colorado. It was a family camp. It was religious. It was amazing. We went there for a week. Obviously, my father-in-law, people who followed me know my father-in-law passed away very suddenly last year. But it's just a memory that I have that was just amazing, like just a wonderful time with family and faith, and which I struggle with, and sort of perspective. It was awesome. I would urge, religious or not, I would urge you to go to a family camp at some point. It's amazing. Canadian citizen number 273, thoughts on Rudy Giuliani selling coffee? Not surprised. I mean, look, Giuliani is bankrupt. They're close to it, right? I mean, this is the whole thing with people who are close to Trump. It never works out well for them, and yet people keep volunteering to do it. Sherry Zimmerman, Chris, please remind your faithful, of how important Memorial Day is to us as a nation. Yes, it is the unofficial first day of summer 2024, but honoring the women and men who have served is a gift. Agree. Thank you. Sam 2, what is the unhealthiest food you regularly eat? Scones. Had one this morning. Maji Mao, if Trump avoids conviction in New York, is that going to give him a boost? Yeah, I don't know. It's a really great question. There are people who tell pollsters that if Trump is convicted of something, then that's it for them. They're out, which seems weird to me. Like that's the thing that's going to drive you away from Trump, is that he was convicted in like falsifying business records, making a hush money payment to a porn star to cover up a relationship. Like out of all these things, it's that. But there are polls that say that. So maybe the flip side, obviously, if he is acquitted or there's a hung jury, I don't really think that First of all, let me say this broadly. Even though there is polling that suggests people will jump off the Trump train if he is convicted, I'm skeptical that it'll be a significant number. And certainly if he's not convicted, I don't know if it gives him a boost. I think it just sort of, I mean, it will affirm for him this was all, he will say like this was all a witch hunt, and even though the judge was horribly biased, the jury saw through it, blah, 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 blah. So maybe it helps him make that like I'm being unfairly targeted case a little bit. But I don't think it has a huge effect either way. I may be wrong on that. Honestly, like I may be downplaying it. It may matter more. Oh, these are good. Black cherry is good. But who knows? Forgot to mention at the top, just before I came on, beat my 11-year-old twice in ping pong. Boom. Old man still got it. And yes, that's how I prep for this live stream. I play ping pong. Let's see. Sorry. Ben Woolman. By the way, keep the questions coming. Ben Woolman, Timberwolves or Mavs? Give me the Mavs. Because I think Kyrie and Luka combined are better than Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Okay. Alicia Glauser. Hi, Chris. Hello. Let's see. Okay. People confirming that my sound is good. That makes me happy. John C., how do you think the various trial outcomes will impact the presidential race, if at all? So again, I may be underplaying it, but I'm just skeptical that this is going to really, like, this is the thing that changes everything after everything. Sorry, I'm knocking things around. After everything Trump has said and done, now is the... Uh-oh, hold on. I just started playing my sad music. Hold on. Got to pause. Now is the thing that that sort of like moves people. Oh, where did it go? Please hold. Looking for you guys. There you are. Like now is the thing that people are like, that's it, I'm out. I just don't see it. Like I just don't. Maybe, but I don't. And if he's acquitted, yeah. Stephen Williams, we love the live stream. I love the live stream. Spread the word. We're at 112 people. Let's get some more. Dwayne Peters, is a hot dog a sandwich? Definitely not. That's easy. That was problem solved there. Solve that age-old question. Skeptic Frog, can Congress impose a code of conduct to the Supreme Court and put an enforcement mechanism to hold justices in check? I don't think so. So what Congress can do is impeach a Supreme Court justice. It happened once, Samuel Chase in 1805, I think. The House impeached him. He was acquitted by the Senate and he kept his office. He kept his seat. So it doesn't happen a lot. So I would not hold your breath on Clarence Thomas or Samuel Alito, which I assume is at the heart of your question, being impeached by the House, particularly if Republicans take over control of the House. But even so, I just don't see that's a priority. Can they set up a code of conduct? I don't know the answer to that. I don't think they can. I think impeachment is sort of the mechanism that's set up in the Constitution for it. But that's a good question. If anybody does know, let me know. There's lawyers out there. Matt Jacobson, will the popularity of Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro, and Trey Evers save Biden in the Rust Belt? No. I'm always skeptical about a politician's endorsement or whatever really mattering to another politician. I've always been skeptical of that. I'm even more skeptical now than I ever have been. I think politicians, particularly a president, is his or her own thing. Like, I don't think the fact that people like Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan means that they're going to vote for Joe Biden. I just, no, if Gretchen Whitmer has a really good political network, like a turnout and get out the vote network, a voter ID network that she's used in her governor's races that she can use to help Biden, now maybe we're on to something at the margins. But I don't think an endorsement or their popularity matters all that much. David Gross, Chris, predict the verdict for the Trump trial. Okay, so someone asked me this yesterday. I do, by the way, added bonus, I do a 30-minute one-on-one Zoom call with all paid subscribers to my political Substack. So if you want to just chat with me for 30 minutes, just me and you, we'll schedule it up, then subscribe, because I do that. So on one of these calls, somebody asked me this exact question, and I'm going to give you the answer I gave to them. Ranked in order of likelihood. Hung jury, 1. Acquitted 2, convicted 3. And the reason I put convicted 3 is because I think, first of all, I'm not a lawyer and I'm guessing. Okay, let's note that. Okay. I think that the prosecution's case, and I think they did a good job, but I think the case rests on Michael Cohen, right? Michael Cohen was at the center of this. He's the one who says Trump knew about all this. He's the one who made the hush money payments. He's the one who was repaid allegedly for the hush money payments. And I just think he exposed himself as kind of a sleazeball, like kind of a liar. He was stealing money from the Trumps. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as like a super, God, hurt my back. Talk about getting old. I like pulled a muscle in my back sleeping. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who the jurors are going to be like, yeah, oh yeah, we definitely trust this guy. So that's what I think, but I don't know. I truly don't know. Didn't go to law school. Important note. Phil Reinhardt, have you considered or looked into the possibility of using AI to help do your writing job? I haven't. I know a lot of people do. I'll tell you the one time I used ChatGPT for work stuff. I had it make me a resume because there's enough stuff online about me that it can kind of compile, and it made like a basic resume because I don't have or didn't have a resume. I still don't have a really good one, but I have a basic one that like if people want to know about, I can send to them. So that's how I used it. But no, I don't use it otherwise. I mean, if you have ideas on how I could, that's fine. But I like writing in my own voice, maybe transcriptions. I don't know. If you have ideas, I'm open to it. I mean, I'm not like a Luddite. Alicia Glauser, question. Do you think Nikki Haley lost credibility now endorsing Trump? As a Nikki supporter, I was so disappointed. She was, I mean, I've talked about this on video. I've written about it on my Substack. She was always going to endorse Trump because she is a politically ambitious politician. And the only way to remain viable in the modern Republican Party is to align yourself with Trump in some way, shape, or form, right? So this was never, Nikki Haley served in the Trump administration. Nikki Haley said that she wouldn't run against Trump if he ran for president. Obviously she did. This is not someone who's going to lead a principled movement against Donald Trump at the cost of her political career. It just was never going to happen. People sort of freighted that onto her like, oh, she's the one. She's going to lead us out of this jungle. No, she is not. She was never that person. Maxwell Feiner, what position in the second Trump administration might Nikki Haley be interested in? VP, number 2. Yeah, I mean, I think she would like to be vice president. I think if Trump offered it to her, she would take it. Do I think he offers it to her? Probably not. But Trump loves a comeback story. He loves a redemption story. He loves we were enemies and now we're friends, right? It makes good TV. And he's basically a reality TV producer. So I don't rule it out. I think it's a possibility, certainly. But I don't think it's a probability. But she would love to be VP. And I don't know that she would take any other role. Maybe Secretary of State. Maybe. Though being Secretary of State for Trump, given what he said about foreign affairs and foreign entanglements, might not be great. Alicia Glauser has a really good reminder. Everyone like this video to get the algorithm going for me. Yes, like this video. Ask questions. Subscribe to my channel. Like this video. Let's get it going. Andy Smith says, you were wrong about Scotty Scheffler last week, Chris. I was. Here's the thing. First of all, I'm not going to be right about everything. Second, I didn't want to pick Xander Schauffele because when we did this chat on Friday, he was leading. So I didn't want to like pick the guy who's leading because that's like the easiest thing in the world to pick. Scheffler was like 3 strokes off the lead. So I thought, oh, that makes sense. I should have taken Bryson, who I like because he's so iconoclastic and weird. And he almost won. But I would never have picked Xander. Anyway, Kaylee Niski. Question. I'm surprised that Michael Bloomberg is so MIA this election time. Have you heard that he's involved at any level? Not really. Fran G, by the way, just sent me $10. Thank you. Not for scones. No, I will spend it on healthy alternatives to help me live longer. Thanks. Anything helps. These polars don't come free until they sponsor me. Wait. I forgot the question. Please hold. I will find it. Michael Bloomberg. Sorry, I got too focused on my Polar sponsorship. Yeah, I mean, I think he's spending money around the margins, but not a huge amount. I don't think he loves Biden or Trump, really. Certainly not Trump. Maybe Biden. So I don't know what he's doing. I mean, he's so wealthy that he could pop in at the last minute and fund a group. And he does. What I would say about Bloomberg is he often does stuff where he doesn't get much media attention for it, but he is spending money, particularly like on ballot initiatives and referenda on like sodas and that kind of thing. So I don't know. I'll look into it. Let's see. Could a Trump conviction affect his donations? Would it increase? Yeah, it probably would. He depends a lot on small dollar donors. I think small dollar donors are going to be motivated to, if either way. So if he's convicted, he's going to say, this is a deep state against me. This is political. This is a third world country, blah, blah, blah. If he's acquitted, he's going to say, see, I told you, and I need more money to fight these people because they're never going to stop. It's a win-win. Sorry, I keep bumping my microphone. Sterling, are you still getting the ham and cheese at Starbucks, or did you try the Cobb salad at Chick-fil-A? So here's what I've moved to, people. The protein box at Starbucks. 2 eggs, 2 pieces of cheese, apples, fruit, and a little scone with some peanut butter on it. So that scratches all my itches. Let's see. Hi, Chris. Who will be in the Stanley Cup Finals and who will be the winner? Don't know. Don't follow hockey closely enough. Rooting for the Edmonton Oilers because I like Connor McDavid. Z Cobb, what's your current take on M. Johnson? I assume you mean Mike Johnson. Congress is out right now. Could he hold on until the election? Sure. I actually think Marjorie Taylor Greene did him a solid because she's so out there and this effort was so dumb and doomed from the start that she may have helped him a little bit because I think people don't want to go back down that road and be associated with her. But again, like there's no future for Mike Johnson if he has to depend on Democrats to pass everything and to keep his job. It's not viable in the long run. Could he hold on to the election until the election? Sure. Let's see. Matt Jacobson, would Chris Christie have beaten Obama in 2012? What about Bernie over Trump in 2016? So hard to answer hypotheticals, obviously. I think Obama was going to get reelected in 2012. I just think he's too naturally gifted as a politician. I think he was probably going to win. Would Bernie have beaten Trump in 2016? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think, yes, Bernie is to the left of the center of the electorate, clearly. But I think Hillary's baggage and people didn't want, it had gone Clinton, Bush, Clinton. They didn't want another Clinton. It had gone Bush, Clinton, Bush, and they didn't want another Clinton, And so I do think that hurt a little bit. And I think led people to be like, well, let's just go with this other guy who's a total outsider. Bernie could have run as an outsider. So yeah, I think he might have, but again, really hard to tell. Doug Gallagher, how affected will the down ballot Republicans be as Trump uses the RNC as his piggy bank for his lawsuits? Marginally, Trump is obviously super focused on his own reelection. That said, or his own election. That said, so is every presidential candidate. The vast majority of the money that the party raises and spends in a presidential year goes to the presidential election. It just does. Might some more go to Trump? Maybe. I know people are like, Laura, Trump works there. Most of the money was going to go to him anyway. It just was. That's how these party committees work in a presidential year. So, maybe marginally, but I don't think anybody loses because they don't have enough money because of Trump. I guess that's my thing. Marcy B, why the addition of the flag at the base of the lamp behind you? Oh, right. There it is. Here's why. I get a note and again, I got laid off from CNN in November of 2022. I got a note a month ago, and it was we found a box of your stuff at CNN. So I was like, okay. So they sent it over, and I went through it, and most of it's mugs and junk that I just kept. You can see, wait, where is it? You can see right there. That's my White House press pass from a long time ago. Next to what many people say is the best book ever written about sports and politics, my book, Power Players. So there was a bunch of that stuff in there. I'm not good at this. That flag was a gift from a guy who's a friend of the Tony Kornheiser show, which I do regularly, and he makes those out of wood. So it's just a little thing. It says "Eat It Lace" on the back, which is my nickname on the show. So I don't know, kind of cool. Let's see. How come Trump changed his cabinet members constantly and Biden's administration is so stable? Because Donald Trump is that guy, right? He only wants people who, I think he's really hard to work for, number one. Number two, he only wants people who do exactly what he says at all times. He has no understanding of how any of this works, right? And if you think he changes people a lot before, just wait if he's reelected. He's going to do it even more. It's just who he is. He views the country, if he's the president, basically as the Trump business. He's the boss, and everyone works for him, and your job working for him is to do what he says. That's it. So that's kind of hard when you're the Attorney General or the Secretary of State or the Secretary of Defense, right? These are serious people, usually, and they don't want to just take orders from Trump, that particularly if they disagree with something he says or does. So that's why it changes so much. And Biden is much more typical of how a president has approached his cabinet. Pretty stable in the first term. More change, I would expect, if he's reelected. Richie Gomez. So is a sausage and peppers from San Gennaro a sandwich? Yes, and I love it. James Hall, do you think Biden will make the ballot in Ohio? I do think he will make the ballot in Ohio. Mike DeWine, the Republican governor, just called a special session. I think they're going to get it done without a lawsuit. But either way, even if there is a lawsuit, he's going to be on the ballot. He's not going to win Ohio, but he'll be on the ballot in Ohio. Paul Sow. Hi, Chris. What's your favorite movie about politics? It's a really good question. I always say to people that to understand DC, the best show to watch is Veep, not The West Wing. Veep much more closely mirrors the experience of staffers and journalists than The West Wing. Favorite movie about it, though? I don't really know. I mean, I love movies about journalism, but I mean, I love All the President's Men. Great movie about politics and journalism. Maybe that, let me get back to you. Let me think on that a little bit. Sam, what does Simon Rosenberg see that others are not seeing, or is he just telling people what they want to hear at this point? He's just telling people what they want to hear. This is a business. If you don't know Simon Rosenberg, he's a Democratic strategist. He writes this thing called Hopium Chronicles. He just cherry picks the polling that is best for Democrats, and then he says that everyone else is wrong. I don't know. I mean, if you haven't read the Q&A with him in the New Yorker, where he tries to end it because the guy asking him the questions, this guy Isaac Chotiner, basically points out that like polls actually aren't that wrong if you study them. It's kind of all you need to know. I might write about him. I don't know. It's not really about him. He is representative of this broader argument within the left, particularly the online left, that everyone's wrong. You can't ever say anything that Donald Trump doing strategically is smart. Like Biden is going to win. He's already winning. The media is biased. To me, it's a business proposition. There are a lot of people who want to subscribe to a Substack that says, even if you're a Democrat and you're down about Biden, you're wrong. We're going to win. There are a lot of Democrats who want to sign on to that. Lots. I don't think it comports with like the lived reality and the reporting, but there's a lot of people who want to do that. Sterling, what do you think about that new Trump medal card that Laura Trump is hawking for $100? I haven't seen it, but if it exists, it doesn't surprise me in the least, because remember, like, there is grift built into the Trump brand. Like Trump sneakers, Trump NFTs, Trump wine, Trump steaks, Trump hotels. It's all interconnected. The business and the political are totally interconnected, right? This is all polishing the Trump brand and getting the Trump brand out there. So it would not surprise me. The notorious CRG, what do you think about the rough start to Caitlin Clark's WNBA career? Not terribly surprising. I mean, if you look at how she played at Iowa, she had the ball in her hands all the time. She was allowed to take any shot she wanted, and she was playing against usually inferior players to her. Well, now she's playing with people who athletically are her equal or her better. She's not empowered to take any shot she wants. She doesn't have the ball in her hand all the time, so it's going to be an adjustment. She's going to be great, I think, but it's an adjustment. So I guess I'm not surprised, like Mike Wilbon. Keep questions coming. Let's see. We're at 28 minutes, 150 people. Come on, keep them coming. What do you got? Nathan C., I liked your book on presidents and sports. Okay. What is your main takeaway from writing that? Can we learn anything about current presidential hopefuls based on their sports lives? So my main takeaway is this. By the way, there it is. Wait, there it is. Power players, sports politics, and the American presidency. Go buy it. My main takeaway is this. Everything you need to know about how these guys govern and think, you can learn about from sports. So Donald Trump says was the best baseball player in the state of New York. He was not, but it's he was a good baseball player, but not the best. That exaggeration, the need to always be the best, right? Super telling and revealing. Let's see. George H.W. Bush, great baseball player. Learned sort of the values of sports, like play fair, be good to your opponents. All the stuff that kind of doomed him in his presidency, like he was, people said he was a wimp. He wasn't really. He was just kind of genteel. He learned that from sports. Richard Nixon, weirdo, loner, loved bowling by himself, right? Who bowls by themselves multiple games in the White House? Richard Nixon. There's so many more like that. I just think sports is a lens through which to look and understand who these people are and how they thought. That's my takeaway. Richie Gomez, you don't think that Chris Christie has a future in politics? Nope. I do not. Phil Reinhart, Nikki didn't endorse, right? Just I'll vote for him. Yes, she did not endorse him. She said she would vote for him. To me, distinction without a difference, but yes, you're right. Just vote for. Let's see. Hold on. Ooh, Sam sent me $10 to spend at Biscuitville. And yes, I am going to Richmond, Virginia this weekend. So if you have tips where to eat, where to drink coffee, their best independent places to drink coffee, don't tell me Starbucks, and what to do for fun, I'd love to hear them. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through. Evil Genius 007. Who's going to win Monaco? How many sports do you follow? I do not follow. I assume that's open wheel racing, right? Formula One. I do not follow that super closely, though I assume Max Verstappen is going to win because I feel like he wins everything. I don't know. What is Sanford Dicker? What is your take on the Republicans keeping hold of the House this time? So the Cook Political Report, which I used to work at and is a great nonpartisan tip sheet, came out and said it's going to be close either way. Republicans have a slight advantage to keep the majority. So I think, again, if it's 10 seats or under either way, it's hard to say one party really controls the House because, as we've seen, that means that you have to rely sometimes, like people rebel and you have to rely on the other party. So I guess Republicans by just a little bit. I tend to think Republicans will win the Senate back. They need one seat if Trump wins, 2 seats if Trump loses. I think they're going to get that. House, I don't know as much. Sorry, I'm going to move this a little because I keep banging it with my big fat face. I don't know as much about the House, so I defer to the Cook report, which says it's going to be close. Senate, I think, is going to be Republican. White House, again, who knows? But if it was today, it would be Trump. Maryland, Ray, the Trump verdict. As someone who's been on a jury, often witnesses have iffy backgrounds. You evaluate whether that person is telling the truth and is there backup documentation. Fair enough. That's to my Michael Cohen point. Fair enough. We'll see. Again, not a lawyer, not predicting anything other than a guess on what will happen. H, is there any way to keep Robert F. Kennedy Jr. off the ballot? Not really. So right now, he's confirmed on the ballot in like 5 states. He says his campaign says there's another 10 states where he is basically like he submitted enough signatures to be on the ballot. That adds up to about 200 electoral votes. To get into the debate June 27th, he has to get up to 200. He has to qualify for the ballot in states that add up to 270 electoral votes. Don't know if he's going to make it there. So you can't keep him off the ballot. The only thing is does he not meet the state requirements, whether that's signatures or whatever, to get on the ballot? I don't know if he makes it on all 50 state ballots, honestly. But again, if he makes it on the ballot in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, that might be enough to swing the election. Let's see. DC Parsons, what possible illegal means does Trump have for manipulating the 2024 election that we still may not be aware of? Well, I mean, if I'm not aware of it, if you're not aware of it, I'm probably not aware of what illegal he could be doing. I don't think much. The one thing I will say to people who worry about 2024 being a repeat of 2020, look, if Trump loses, he's going to say he was robbed of it, period. But remember, he's not the sitting president of the United States. So he's not in office. He can't tell the attorney general to do something. He can't pressure the vice president to do something. So I do think it'll be a little different in that regard and a little less threatening in terms of actually overturning an election. But I don't know what illegal means he might have. Matt Aarons, thank you for the contribution. As always, again, folks, these pollers don't come cheap. I mean, they do actually come pretty cheap, but thank you for the contribution. If Biden wins, this is Matt Aarons. If Biden wins, who is the GOP nominee in 2028? Donald Trump. Yeah, I think he would be, if we were making odds, yes, he would be the front runner. Who else would be in there? Nikki Haley would run. Some combination of Tom Cotton, Josh Hawley, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I was going to say Kristi Noem, but I don't know if Kristi Noem can run anymore. So yeah, but Trump would definitely be the front runner, and that's including if he loses in 2024. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that he will run again, but I think he'd be the front runner. Let's see. Marcy B, do you think Mike Johnson showing up at the trial in New York City could mean that the Democrats won't rescue him next time? Sure. Yeah, I mean, Mike Johnson is a conservative Republican. Like, he doesn't agree with Hakeem Jeffries on anything. policy wise. And again, that's why it's not tenable for Johnson to stay as speaker forever with this small majority, because you can't rely on Democrats to keep your Republican speaker. It won't work over time. The Democrats will abandon him, I think, at some point, and more Republicans will be more willing to throw him out. Let's see. The Ides of March is an underrated George Clooney movie about a presidential primary. That's awesome. Okay, Sam, I'll check it out. The American President. Yes, that is another good one. Thank you, Sam, for Dicker. If Trump wins, this is Maxwell Feiner. If Trump wins, will Alito and Thomas retire? Maybe Thomas. Alito, hold on. I'm going to guess Alito is 65. I don't think he's that old. Okay, he's 74. Okay, well, maybe. I think Republicans and conservatives are more strategic about this stuff than Democrats. I give you Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So maybe Clarence Thomas, maybe Alito. I don't know. Sam says The Post about the fight over the Washington Post and Pentagon Papers was one of my favorite Spielberg movies and a great movie about journalism. We'll check it out. Oh, Cyrene Domagala, the movie Dave, because it's entertaining. That is a good one. Michael Gates, do you think Democrats in Maryland are in trouble after Larry Hogan lost the primary to Angela? Oh, you mean, sorry. He says after Larry Hogan lost the primary to Angela Brooks. You mean after David Trone lost the primary to Angela Brooks? No. I think I talked about this last week. Look, Larry Hogan is the best candidate by far that Republicans could nominate in Maryland. The only candidate who's credible at all to win in Maryland. But in a presidential year, I just think Larry Hogan's going to lose like 53-47. I just do. I just don't see how he wins. Lawrence Roth, what do you think of Frank Luntz? I don't know. I follow him, I'm sort of interested in some of the focus group stuff he does. Again, I try to follow lots of people across the spectrum because I have no monopoly on good ideas. So I'm always on the lookout for people who are thinking of good ideas. Paul Sal, what's the biggest myth about media and politics that's completely untrue? The idea that we all get together and plan what the narrative of the campaign will be. Totally ridiculous. Definitely does not happen. Does not happen. Just does not happen. Yeah. What do you think about the Tesla Cybertruck? It is hideous. Hideous. I mean, I don't know. It's so ugly. H says interview with Brian Stelter, former CNN reporter. Also, you mean, should I do an interview with Brian Stelter? Sure, I could do that. I like him a lot. Great guy. Shelly Winters, I like table tennis and badminton. I'm more of a table tennis guy myself. Too much running around in badminton. Sterling, Trump is always the best at everything except for lying. He's a modern day Lincoln. Yeah, I mean, that's his thing. Like it's in there. He tells himself a story that he's the best, he's the hero, he's always winning. Yes. Scotty Cherry Holmes, after COVID, we all knew there were going to be economic costs. It just seems that the citizenry is having to pay for it through inflation. My question, can you explain inflation? Absolutely not. Didn't take one economics class, not an economist, not a statistics major. I can explain it in terms of politics. When people go and your milk costs more money than it used to, or you go to the grocery store and you spend $110 where you used to spend $75, people get annoyed and people notice. When you go out to dinner and it costs twice as much or 1.5 times as much, people get annoyed and people notice. That's it. That's how people experience the economy a lot of times. It's not through the CPI or the gross domestic product or unemployment rate figures or anything like that. So that's it. Let's see. Pam Perna, will we see a deluge of partisan gerrymandering after yesterday's Supreme Court decision? So this is about the South Carolina. The court essentially said it's really hard to prove that this was motivated by to dilute racial power, to dilute black voting power. We're going to say that we're going to take the Republican legislatures at their word and say it was done for partisan reasons, which is legal. You can do it. You can draw districts for partisan reasons. You can't do it to minimize African-American voting power. If they tilt in that direction, yes, you're going to see more of that. You're going to see packing of African-American and Hispanic votes into one single district that's incredibly Democratic, and then all the other districts around it would be more Republican. Yeah, I think that's right. Dan Guloy, what will happen to the GOP after Trump? Back to normal or warring factions? Warring factions. So when Trump dies, which I have said before, I think is when there will be some kind of reckoning with Trumpism. There'll be a fight. I think the Trump forces, the sort of Trumpist wing of the party, will win that fight. But there will be some attempt by the establishment of the party, such as it still exists, to say, like, can we get back to the 2012 version of Republicans, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, as opposed to the last 10 plus years? Again, I think the Trumpist wing will win that fight. But yeah, there'll be a scrap, at least I think, some of it. Let's see. S. Ruan, what are your thoughts on the turnout for the Trump rally in the Bronx? Is it worrisome about that he had so many supporters there? Not really. I think a lot of people go just to see the spectacle of Trump. He is a celebrity. He is famous. People are drawn to that. So I'm not sure you can say like all these people support him. I mean, I'm sure he has some support in New York City. He's not going to win New York. It's just not going to happen, right? He lost by 22 points in 2020. So no, I think a lot of people are there. It's like a carnival. You go to kind of see the show. I don't know it means that you're going to vote for him. Sandy W. I think Donald Trump tells himself these outrageous things. I'm the best, whatever, because his family sucked at raising confident human beings. Maybe. I mean, I feel like I'm not a psychologist, but I feel like it all goes back to childhood. Let's see. Sorry, I skipped a bunch in the middle here. Grumpy Cat. Hi, Chris. Do you think Trump will show up for the first presidential debate on June 27th? I do. I mean, I know he's got like a built-in excuse now, like if Biden doesn't take a drug test, but I think he will show up because I think the Trump people believe that Biden is uniquely weak and he's going to look old and he's going to look out of it. And this is the best way to show that. So I do think he winds up showing up because I think they think it's a real opportunity. Let's see what else. Stelter, the notorious CRG, thank you for the donation. Stelter, Lemon, Cuomo, Brooke Baldwin for the podcast. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'd love to get them on. I actually want to get on Don's thing on Twitter. I think that would be fun. Yeah. Let's see. Rast 67. How do you encourage the Europeans to take a larger role in defeating Trump? Not going to happen. Like, if France suddenly said that they wanted Joe Biden to be president, it would probably make more people vote for Donald Trump. So I would say Europe should stay out of it. Carlo Fassi, Matt Gaetz for Florida governor. Why or why not? Yeah, I think he will run for Florida governor. When is DeSantis up? 2026. He's term limited. Yeah, I think Gaetz will run in 2026. The why not is like he still obviously has his House Ethics Committee thing about transporting a minor over state lines, see how that shakes out. If that shakes out poorly, maybe that's a problem, but who knows in this modern era. But yeah, I think he wants to run. Let's see. Jason Roberts, thoughts on combating voter apathy? Man, it is hard. I think people feel disconnected from the process. They don't follow it all that closely. It's ugly, so they kind of turn away from it. It's depressing, so they turn away from it. I don't know what you do. I think one of the reasons we have voter apathy is because we've never really had a dictator or we've never really had like an overthrow of the government, a coup. Like government has been pretty stable in America for the last 200-ish years. I'm not recommending we have those things, but I think that's why we have some voter apathy is people don't really feel like anything's going to change that much. They don't feel government is connected to their lives in any meaningful way. I don't know how you change that short of like a shock to the system, which I'm not urging or rooting for. KM, Chris, the Phillies are on fire. Any chance the Nationals can catch them? Absolutely not. And yes, the Phillies are off to the best start since the Mariners in like 2001, and those Mariners won 116 games. I root against the Phillies because they have Trey Turner and Bryce Harper, two great Nationals who are now on the Phillies, and they're an interdivision rival. Carl Creighton says, Secret Honor is a great politics movie. I haven't heard of that. I'll check it out. Let's see. Shelley Winter said voting is compulsory in Australia. Yeah, fair enough. I don't think we're going to make voting compulsory here. Hold on. I'm just going to scroll from the top. Thank you again for everyone who came and is here. 177 people, which is amazing. This is amazing. Let's see. Dan Gouloy says, I'm sorry. Okay, so he asked a question for. I'm sorry I didn't make myself clear. If the MAGA movement is like a normal party, they'll elect a leader and chug on. If they're more like a cult, they'll have competing cult leaders and factions. That's right. And I think that's a really important thing. Is this basically built around Donald Trump? And once Donald Trump is gone, there will be other people who try to claim that mantle, but none of them are Donald Trump. And so therefore it doesn't work. Or is this like this is the Republican Party now, and they will hand it off to someone else, and that person, whoever he or she is able to sort of coalesce that same Trump coalition. I've not seen anyone be able to coalesce that same Trump coalition other than Trump, so I'm questionable that will happen. But I guess it's a possibility, like I think it's a possibility. All right. Let's see. Rast67, love this forum. Truly great way to engage with real listeners. Yes, I think it is too. It's great. All right, I'm at 45 minutes. So this afternoon I am, let's see, I'm going to go on TV at 4:40 on MSNBC. So check that out. And then if you have recommendations for Richmond, Virginia, email me, CILLIZZAC@gmail.com. I'm looking for food. I'm looking for coffee, and I'm looking for fun things to do. Love you. I will spend that money at Biscuitville. Sounds delicious. Thank you all for your donations. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your support. We are almost to 25,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel, which is amazing. We were at less than 5,000 in January. So in 4 months, we've added 20,000 people. Let's keep it going. Love it. Makes me happy. Spread the word, right? We need to spread the word, get more people involved. I need to do a better job of courting and talking to some bigger YouTube political presences to get on with them. I'm working on that. I got a bunch going on, so sometimes I don't do as much as I'd like, but I'm working on it. So you guys do your end, which is spread the word to people you know. Say, hey, this guy makes daily videos and does a live stream every Friday. Please do it. If you have not checked out my Substack, just newsletter, it's daily. You can get some for free. If you pay $6 a month or $60 a year, you can get all of it. It is chriscilizza.substack.com. My last name is CILLIZZA. Check that out. Every little bit helps. This is how I'm trying to make my living. Every little bit helps. Take care. Have a great and safe Memorial Day weekend. And I'll be back with a video on Tuesday. No video on Monday. On Tuesday. All right, people. Peace.